Oh, what am I not working on? Too much. I'm kind of a banker by day, entrepreneur by night kind of thing going on. But I suppose the more passionate side of things is spent thinking about how labor markets for young people can be improved. So much youth unemployment around, and I think a lot of the incumbent actors in the market that are trying to recruit people or helping companies to recruit aren't really giving the best deal to young people. So I want to try and fix that, and that'll be soon a big project of mine. I'm thinking about personal challenges in terms of overcoming yourself, overcoming your biases, overcoming all of these things that we are set up with when you're young. So I'll take the example of career choice, which is something that I'm looking at, and how people make career choices. And how do you make life-altering decisions based on incredibly limited information? And in that sense, I think the impossible challenge is to believe. You have to believe in something in order to. That's the easiest mechanism to make everything around you, align and fall into place. And how can you use or benefit from all the fantastic people that you have around you when you don't know what you're doing? How can they help you when you haven't decided and when you're not living and believing in where you're going? So believing, I think, is the impossible challenge. If you can believe, then everyone can help you and the universe can align around what you're trying to do. An impossible challenge in business. Well, there's a simple answer to that question is trying to sell something to people that they don't want. That's an impossible challenge. And it ends up being about marketing and storytelling, and you can sell sand to Saharans. You just have to frame it in the right way, and talking. It's about you can sell an impossible product by selling a benefit instead, and that's a marketing talent and skill that some people possess, and then most of us have to learn for sure to get even close to. But especially when you're in new markets, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are trying to invent something that doesn't quite exist yet, that's a huge part of things. How do you sell something that people don't know what it is? And how do you frame that? How do you make it into something that people understand and want to work with and buy, perhaps? And I think that's a wonderful challenge when you're able to succeed with it. When you get that first, the elation when you get that first, yes, I get what you're saying, or I think I understand it, and yes, it's a good thing. You've invented a new universe. It's a cool thing.
Why is it a cool thing?
No, it's a piece of validation. It's a piece of emotional validation. To see something that you've imagined come to life in someone else's reality. You've created something that is now a part of how they see their world, even if in a very small way. They love the keyring that you made for them. Whatever it may be. I suppose it's the act of creation and the recognition of what you have created, and I suppose not just the physical or abstract object or service or thing that you have created, but the fact that you have created it and what it is and what it means to you. I think being an artist must be challenging from that perspective in regards to I wonder how they work with validation. I wonder how, when an artist that's doing abstract art, for example, how do they feel about accomplishment when people have perhaps a hard time understanding or interpreting their art? Or maybe then they have a more extended interpretation of that, and then enjoy the way that people react to it, whatever direction it is, whether they understand it or not. I'm not sure. But if you're in business, if someone interprets what you're selling and in, oh, that's a cute thing, but I'll never buy it. That doesn't help you very much. It might tell you a little bit something about the market and what you need to be doing to make it sell, but that's a bit more of a challenge. When I was in uni, we sold Iran to Swedish companies, essentially. And we were a student project. We were going to do a business conference in Iran. And for us, it was all about a learning journey and understanding more about a culture that we'd seen from afar and gotten some interesting exposure to. But learning successively that there actually was belatedly or hidden away an interest, in this particular regard. Swedish companies having spent hundreds of years in Iran, which we had no idea. And in the end, we uncovered these very natural connections that enabled us to come up with a conference format and bring people to Iran, bring Swedes to Iran, bring Iranian entrepreneurs to meet Swedish companies, and have a wonderful meeting between the two sides. But obviously, until the very day we left, and even if we figured all these things out and we gotten our funding and everything, and obviously already from the start, family telling you that you're crazy, what are you doing? And this is impossible, and you just don't know. You don't know. Are you crazy? Or, are you just making stuff up? Or are you just bullshitting and you have enough people buying it for you to be able to sell it? And actually it's going to crash and burn, and you built a spaceship and it's going to the fantastic galaxy and you're actually just going to burn up in the atmosphere? You don't know, but you have to believe. And in my case, standing on the stairwells of running up to the foreign ministry palace in northern Tehran, looking out over the city, that feeling that my friends were inside finishing up the conference was an extraordinary sense of it's hard to call, I don't know if I would call it an accomplishment. I suppose it is in some degree regard, but it's just an extraordinary feeling of overcoming something and proving all of those people wrong so definitively for myself. Didn't matter if I didn't have to shove it in other people's faces or parade it around. It was just that sense of I believed in something and it was the right thing to believe in for me.